Hi guys, this is Howard from the Book of Genesis. I'm just going to give you a little run through of all the functions I use on the SK1. It's a Hammond organ, but it's got a lot more to it. Now I know that the SK1 has been superseded recently by the SK Pro, which is a slightly different beast. It's got a monophonic synthesizer on it, but it costs a lot more. The price is much higher than a SK1. So the SK1 came in three flavours: a 61 note, 73 note or 88 note keyboard. I've got the 61. It's very, very portable, and that's what I like about it, and it's incredibly lightweight. But the 73 note is also lightweight, and it's just a little bit heavier obviously for the extra size, as is the 88 note. So they're all good options. You can split the keyboard, you can run the keyboard across two keyboards and bass pedals as well if you want to, or you can split the keyboard into right hand, left hand and bass pedals on the left as well. So first of all, the organ sounds. We're just going to go through the organ sounds. So you've got the conventional drawbars. If I just turn everything off, so you can pull out a drawbar one at a time. So that's just a plain sound without the Leslie. When you put the Leslie on, you can hear it spin up slowly. Or you can put it on fast. You can take it back off again. So it's got a lovely sound, the Leslie. It's famously used by Genesis on slow speed, not on fast speed. Only a very small number of tracks, some stuff on Trespass used fast speed like the Knife, and even then only in a few parts. Mostly Genesis go for the very slow. Tony went for the very slow speed, rather than the fast speed like that. You've also got the usual mixture percussion sounds, which you get a third and second sound, which gives it a lot more bite. And depending on how you play, that percussive sound can be more or less effective. If you play staccato, you can hear it more. If you play smooth, you won't get that effect coming through. So okay, so you've got your basic Hammond organ. Now the other thing is with this instrument is not only have you got the Hammond organ, but you've got an awful lot of really great additional sounds. I'm just going to show you some of those. What you can do is you can put in samples, which there's some existing samples loaded in the memory, but you can actually load new ones from the Hammond website, and I've got quite a lot of those for Genesis that I use. I've got the Mellotron sounds. Now I have got a digital Mellotron, but occasionally I use the Mellotron here just for convenience when I'm using a piano on the bottom keyboard and I don't want the piano to run MIDI to the Mellotron. Then I sometimes use the Mellotron sounds here. You can also use this as a MIDI keyboard, and you could MIDI it to the Mellotron if you wanted to, but I choose to use some of the Mellotron sounds, particularly when they're mixed with other sounds. They are a very good facsimile of a Mellotron. They're not quite as good as a digital Mellotron, or of course the real thing, but they're pretty good, and I'll show you. So this is the famous triple violin sound. So that's that sound. Now you've also got the sound for choir. it sounds very good on if you're playing entangled. So that's good. The other sound you got on here is the flutes, which Genesis used in a few places. Like at the beginning of the Battle of Epping Forest there. It's also used in Get 'Em Out by Friday. So you've got those sounds. The other thing you have is you've got some very nice basic piano sounds. So if I just show you the stereo grand, that's a nice sound. You've also got a very useful sound for Genesis is the electric grand piano, which I'll just find in a second. I think I've got it on a preset, yes. So this is used a lot by both Genesis and Peter Gabriel. This is the Yamaha CP70. There's a little bit of Here Comes the Flood at the beginning of Here Comes the Flood, but Genesis used it particularly in the later years. They used it an awful lot, and it's a very much a Tony Banks sound. Beginning of Heat Haze on Duke. I mean, it's all through Duke, but it's yeah, it's a very nice sound. The other sound you've got is your electric piano sound. Bit of a Supertramp creeping in there, which of course is not Genesis. And all of these sounds have got lots of variations. You can do phased electric piano, which sounds nice. So it's got all the effects built in. You can do delay, phase, chorus, and remodulator, which makes it sound a bit like a spaceship. You can do all sorts of things to the sound. Now in addition to that, you've also got great harpsichord, clavinet sounds and things like that. So the harpsichord, and that's very nice. You've got again, not just one sound, but there's a whole selection of sounds for each type. So that's a harpsichord with an 8-foot and 4-foot. There's a harpsichord with a lute sound, and you can even hear the release click. So it's very realistic, really good sound. There's the clavinet sound. There's the clavinets with wah, which well, Rick Wakeman used it in a Journey to the Centre of the Earth. I think in quite a few of the songs on that he used the clavinet. So you've got that. You've also got some nice lead sounds. There's some synths built in, like you've got the Telstar synth, which I think there's a clavioline. So you've got that one, and there's various others. There's a whole selection of piano accordions. Which is nice, and there's about a dozen or something different piano accordions. I'm not sure why you need so many. Now here's some of the sound, unless you're a big fan of piano accordions. Here's some of the string sounds that you can load up as samples. I've put in some strings. I use this one in One for the Vine because it's a really nice string sound, and I think it gives a really nice sound when it's mixed with organ. The keyboard is touch sensitive as well. You can, for the organ, obviously it's not, because that would be touch sensitive in the sense that you can play staccato to get the percussive sounds, but in instruments that should be touch sensitive like pianos and other instruments, the string sound, you can have full touch sensitivity, which you can also edit that as well. To show you a few other sounds, and you've got some very good brass sounds. A very good trumpet, a good trombone, and there's a good flute sound. There's a good flute sound. There's a good alto sax sound. So you've got a lot of nice sounds. The other big sample I loaded up was some of the acoustic guitars. So if I don't have space in my car for a 12 string at a gig, I can get a pretty good guitar. A couple of mistakes there. That's of course the opening of Blood on the Rooftops. Now of course I don't play that, but I was just giving you an illustration of the sound. There is a 12 string guitar as well in here. Which is nice. Yeah, you've also got a few classic sounds like the string synthesizer from Selena, which is kind of really a late 70s string synth, which was used in quite a lot of disco records. And it's got that sort of symphonic chorus sound, which really adds to it. Now, also you've got actually not just one organ, but you've got 4 organs on this organ. You've got the Hammond organ, you've got a Farfisa, a Vox Continental, and you've also got the classical organ as well. So the classical organ, you can do all your Bach. Very good sounds, and you can pull out all the stops, which is a really big sound, or you can pull out one stop. It's really high quality sound samples of the pipe organ, and it's also got the scanning effect that you get on a pipe organ as well. It's really realistic, really nice. You've got these drawbars transformed from being Hammond drawbars to being church organ drawbars. So one of the reasons actually I bought this instrument was because of that. So I've got I had a previous model of a Hammond, but it didn't have the church organ sounds. I love the sound of church organ. I like playing Bach, so I'm a massive Bach fan. So that was one of the reasons to get this actually. But you've also got the Vox Continental, so if you want to sound like the Doors, you can do that as well. Let's see if I can find. So you can even have the bass, Fender bass that the Doors used. I don't really know. I'd have to practice this. I'm not in a Doors tribute band, so you'll forgive me for not being able to play like my 5 properly. I'd have to learn it. But you've got that really nice sound from the Vox Continental. And the bass is great as well, which is that Fender bass sound. So you can use the split effect to create that. So it comes with 100 presets already set and 100 user presets. You can put either ones you can save on 10 favourites, which is very useful for live work. Although I must say that for Genesis I need about 50 presets for a typical gig, so 10 doesn't really cut it, and that's because very often Tony would have changed Hammond sound during a song. So Supper's Ready might have as many as, I don't know, I have to look at how many I've configured, but it might be 10 in the Cage Medley, another 6 or 7 or something, or to enable you to create all the effect. So what I do actually with the favourites, I set the favourites to the first, usually the first preset I need, and then I can just use the plus minus keys or click it on, click it forward or backwards to move it on to the next one. The other thing you've got on the keyboard is you've got an MP3 or WAV player, which means you can play back samples, or sound effects as part of a gig if you want to. So it's again great for live or for practice, because you might want to practice by listening to a piece, and instead of having to have a separate audio player, you can use the Hammond's audio player, to play back those sounds. So some of the other sounds you've got, as well as all the sort of synth string sounds, there's some other. If I can work, just change the sound to this one. If I can remember how to do it. There's some additional synthy sounds you can select, which are polyphonic. Good sort of pad sounds. And some other sounds that you might find on some of the, say, Yamaha instruments. There's some lead sounds. I'm not sure where you use it in Genesis. There's a nice sound. What else have we got here? A lot of different sounds. Some sound effects are in there. There's a lot of stuff there. So on the wind sound, I showed you trumpets, trombones and saxes. There's also some combination sounds like there's a big band sound here, which will give you a sort of full sound of a big band. You see, you turn off all the effects. When you turn on the effects, you can have reverb and stuff like that. I think that's pretty much it. You can transpose the keyboard up and down, and you can mix sounds. What you can't do is mix the extra voices outside of the organ. You can't mix those together, so you choose one extra voice, but once you've got an extra voice you can mix that with an organ. So I could have choir, for instance, if I can find go back to choir, turn the volume down a bit, and with the choir I can add organ. That's very nice. You can do that. You can, of course, so you can mix any extra voice sound with the organ sounds, and that's about it really. And I use it as my workhorse for Genesis. It's got so many of the obviously all the organ sounds that I need, but also it's got some of the piano sounds with the Yamaha CP70. and occasionally some of the Mellotron sounds I do use as well, just for convenience. I mean, when they're particularly needed for authenticity, like in a song like Fountain of Salmacis, I would tend to use a Mellotron, or the beginning of Watcher of the Skies, because you can't. It doesn't have the way to replicate the Watcher of the Skies sound, because that's a very unique sound. But anyway, this is a quick overview. I hope you enjoyed it, and they're lovely instruments to own. And I haven't yet played the SK Pro range, but that also looks very good, except, as I say, the price is higher. But then it's got a built-in monophonic synth. So if you want a synth as well, and I guess split the keyboard so you have synth on the right-hand side, for instance, and an accompaniment on the left, then I could see the value that that's bringing. And I think they're trying to compete with perhaps some of the other keyboard workstations that have synths built in. There are a few others out there that do that. But I'm very happy with it, and I think, you know, there's nothing that emulates the Hammond better than Hammond. You've got the usual MIDI in out at the back and the stereo out. The only criticism I'll give it, one little criticism I don't like, is that it's got a mains lead, which is one of those thin small plugs which can break if you're not careful over time. You have to be a bit careful. But I've been gigging this for many years now, and I've never had a break in the cable. It's a little bit more robust than some of the cables that you get, but I know that in some of the more modern Hammonds, they've now gone for the proper kettle lead, which would be much preferable. And I think really all keyboards should have those if possible, because they're much. If you're playing live, they're much more convenient. But I guess it puts the price up perhaps a bit to have a built-in power source inside the keyboard itself. Not much else to say about it really. You can plug, of course, you can plug in expression pedals and sustain pedals if you want to give you more adjustment to the sound. But yeah, that's it.